It seems like we're set to raid our favourite club in Brighton for another one of their stars. Learn all the latest reports surrounding Joao Pedro. My friends, tons to break down. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to catch the final PL preview against Nottingham Forest out now. And very quickly, if you have not secured your 25-26 home kit, my guys, what are you waiting for? Now is the time. Use my link above in the card or description, and don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout once you've clicked the link to get 10% off your final order. Today, we have some massive reports coming out from Brazil. And I have to say, most times Brazilian reports are reporting on us. They're reporting on real deals. They're reporting on actual facts. It's been happening time and time again. It happened for that right back who signed for Wolves instead. It happened for all the youth talent we've signed from Brazil. Estival, the list goes on. And today, a global report that we are attentively trying to secure a deal very quickly for Joao Pedro. You guys know how I do things. I want to break down the story first so you guys can understand what is going on. But the context is basically this: with the Club World Cup fast approaching in like less than 3 weeks' time, we need some attacking reinforcement, ideally, to give us the best opportunity to win or go as deep as possible in the Club World Cup. And today, our global revealed that we have started negotiations with Brighton for their forward. That's not talking to the player, that's not monitoring, none of that talk. Direct negotiations with Brighton. And we have signalled our intent to make a €60 million offer, which is around £50 million. Now, to give you guys a little bit of backstory, obviously, recently it came out as to why Joao Pedro did not feature in Brighton's matchday squad against Liverpool, because he was actually omitted due to a skirmish and behind-the-scenes scuffle with Brighton centre-back Van Hecker. That's all the information we have. That's all the details we have. But since that scuffle, reports came out pretty quickly suggesting that Brighton would be open now to a sell and moving him on. Ideally, they wanted around 70 million, but we're making an offer close to the valuation we feel we can get for the player, and knowing that Brighton may in fact have to lower their demands if they hope to get rid of Joao Pedro. In the meantime, they have secured their future regardless if Pedro stays or remains. They've struck a deal to sign Stefano Zimas, a player that we paid a lot of attention towards, from Nuremberg for around 21 million, and they're close to signing 17-year-old talented Greek forward in Charalampos, alongside Ruta, alongside Welbeck, Ferguson, etc., etc. The point I'm making, the picture I'm painting, is that Brighton definitely have more than enough forward recruitment already in their team. So it does feel like we could potentially snag the guy we want for the price we want. Previous reports revealed that we could offer maybe a player in exchange or on loan. That would be pretty interesting to see. I wonder who that could be. Or maybe offer a better structured deal. But to be honest with you, I don't think Brighton would complain about nearly doubling their profit on Joao Pedro and having the money in time to reinvest ASAP on strengthening their team. So let's see how things play out, man. Obviously, Club World Cup in less than 3 weeks. We want to bring in some enforcement pretty soon. And in Joao Pedro, we're targeting a player that has scored 30 goals and got 10 assists in his last 70 games for Brighton. So from this point forward, I want to discuss how he would fit with us and whether he would be the right move for us to make. Now, I feel like since this news has emerged and become a lot more realer now, I'm not seeing too many men in the fan base being too excited by this news. I'm seeing a lot of talk of Nini. Like, we need an out-and-out striker. We need someone with box presence. Why are we making a move for another guy that doesn't have a set or strong position? We've been forcing these signings since we first brought Kai Havertz, who was the original gas man we all thought was going to be our new legend. We signed Felix, we signed Nkunku. It's not really worked. So why are we targeting yet again another profile of this player? I've got some answers to that. You might not all agree with me, but what I would want to say first is that I see Joao Pedro as more of a centre forward, not a traditional 9, not the type of guy that's going to occupy the box 24/7 or, just constantly relying upon service. I guess the fashionable term for this type of player is the 9.5, which You know, I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a football manager guy. I like to see players and roles over positions. And I would say that Pedro is more of like a, support striker, deep line forward, Iniesta style guy, playing in a more advanced position, which he has done throughout most of his career. You could argue that he is more of a forward than anything else. I mean, this season, most of his goals have come from playing further forward up front, and he's bagged 7 goals and 6 assists in 16 appearances playing this role. You know, there has been times he's played deeper with Ruta. There has been only recently a few occasions where he has been forced to play off the left-hand side. But his predominant position is further forward, and his secondary positions are obviously a lot deeper from up front. But in Joao Pedro, I think there's a lot of interesting conversations around this story. Because the main one is, for me, are we potentially reconsidering what we're looking to do with our striker situation? Because if making a move for Pedro, does that now mean that we're completely saying goodbye to your Sechkos and Delaps and players like that? Are there other conversations? I once discussed reports suggesting that many clubs are showing interest in Nico Jackson. Could this be a like-for-like replacement for Nicholas Jackson, and we still look to reinvest that money into another striker? Or is this maybe like a semi-evolution behind us wanting to commit to playing this 9.5 star role? Because I can't say that it's a negative. And I'd like to hear some serious conversations behind why you think that would be like a real negative for us. Because you've seen many a team kind of adopt this type of player. Look at Paris Saint-Germain. They're the famous example right now, doing absolute bits right now. Is that the type of model we could potentially head towards by committing to this 9.5 star player? On top of that, you've seen examples like Barcelona when Lewandowski isn't playing. You're seeing examples like Liverpool. Liverpool also being massive admirers of Joao Pedro, and they've been benefiting from this style of forward since they had Roberto Firmino. So I can't say that this is necessarily a weakness in our team. And I can't really compare Joao Pedro to Nkunku and to Joao Felix. Felix is more of like a playmaker, and ideally does better with a target man forward. I mean, the funny thing is they all do well with that type of like target man guy. But how they play that role is unique to their individual selves. You know, Felix is more about the footwork and having a lot more license and less defensive responsibility. Christopher Nkunku is more of like a second striker entirely. When he's been tasked to play up front, he just can't do that. He can't hold the ball up. He isn't that type of guy. He completely withdraws away from the play. But Joao Pedro plays that role, but he plays that probably better than anything we've seen so far. He can hold the ball up. You know, the guy is incredible with his work rate. I'm going to go into those details later on near the end, so don't go nowhere. I'm going to give you guys a really good insight behind who he is and what he's about. Because if you guys have known me for a minute, since last year, I was telling you guys I rate Joao Pedro so highly. He's the type of player I kind of guess I could always see at Chelsea one day due to how he plays, what he does, his profile, his work rate, all these little positives. He had a great debut season at Brighton, bagging 20 goals in his first season. And this season, he's still their joint top scorer alongside Matoma and Welbeck, even though he has been hit with suspensions, even though he has had his injury issues and niggles as well. But this guy is a reliable presence in every game. Every 2 games, either a goal or an assist. And that's like a pretty big thing to have, considering the role that he's playing. So to end things, my friends, why do I think Joao Pedro low-key could be a very effective, smart signing? At the moment, we don't know if this will be the main forward signing or if there will be additional ones. But I can only have this conversation based on what he can offer the team. And I think there's a few things that he's not praised for. Number one, this guy is a madman with his work rate. It wouldn't work at Brighton if Joao Pedro wasn't so committed to his off-the-ball duties, presses, runs, especially in the zones that he covers. And I think Maresca will very much be happy with that type of work ethic. I think Chelsea fans might like him because he has a bit of shithousery in his game. Yes, at the moment, a bit of negativity with the elbow, red card, and the altercation with his teammate. But that doesn't sum him up entirely. And it's that type of characteristic that I think fans really like about him and are enamored by him, and I don't see that being any different with Chelsea fans. But I think one of the things I really like, which is interesting because I might sound a bit paradoxical, is I think his movement is really special. I think it is really exciting. But it's paradoxical because actually, I would encourage him to move even more, with my suggestion being trust yourself to make those runs inside the box even more. Because you got to see it from his perspective. If Brighton are just dominating possession, they're finding it hard to play through teams. It can be a bit too easy for Joao Pedro to want to touch the ball a bit because he doesn't like not touching the ball. But sometimes you can't play that way. Sometimes you just have to trust your teammates, bide your time, and keep on making those runs. Because the reason I'm mentioning this point, my guys, is that this guy, I might even argue, has better movement than Nicholas Jackson. Some of you guys might be thinking, Nini, that's not that hard to have. But he is so intelligent with how he constantly fools the opposition, with how he looks to disguise his runs, the little decoys, the little movements he does where he drops deep into space and then explodes in behind the opposition into the space that he's created for himself. And it really just complements his style of game, considering this guy is beautiful to watch on the ball. I think he's a very consistent dribbler where there's high reliability behind him getting past his man, either running at pace, transitionally, in tight spaces, producing something from nothing. This is what I've always really liked about Joao Pedro, and I've seen that potential for greatness in this guy's game, in my opinion. But in terms of the movement, he creates so much for his team. And I think about those complementary factors. If we have a Cole Palmer who also likes to go from the books, if we have wingers that like to have goal threat, with Esteval also coming in, I guess you have to think about distributing the goals right, instead of these guys becoming complete servicemen for just one guy up front. He's so good at offering a pass to the midfield lines, helping you create those overloads against the opposition. And this is the style of football that Maresca has been encouraging throughout this season. Technically superb with both feet. He can hold the ball up with his body. I think he's deceptively tall. He's also deceptively good with his heads. He scored a great goal against us in our 3-2 win against Brighton last year. And as I said, all of this really complements his game. And you see it in really high, exciting numbers. Like his touches in the pen books ranks stupidly high for them. Every penalty that he's scored has been penalties he's won. And he's the forward that's won the most penalties out of anyone in the Premier League with 9. And that's because of his ability to just turn the pace of a game up, either through individual flair, either through his movement and that directness. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think there is that potential of greatness in this game. And I really think that as he goes from maybe 23 now to 25, 26, the next stage is to trust this world-class movement even more. Yeah? Penetrate that box even more, because them few times he does do that, he is quite clinical when he wants to gamble on opportunities. So I'm saying this because he isn't the finished article, but don't be thinking that he is far below the required needs. I think this would be a great signing to have for the team. I think this guy is a great player. I actually think he has the potential to probably knock Nico Jackson out the team. I think he is that good. I might sound mad to you guys, but I think this guy is going to go clear. From what I saw from his last season at Brighton, I was thoroughly impressed. And I don't think it's a negative to have a forward who can also play all across the attacking lines. That's going to be a bit of a bonus to be able to rely upon someone like that. He's a superb problem solver off the ball or on the ball. You need that type of player that can just create from nothing, and I think he has that. And he just has really strong and high technical qualities to his game. Things like how quickly he takes his shots off when he does that. All he has to do is kind of just get encouraged now to do more of the same thing, to be honest with you. I think that's all he has to do, really. So listen, let's continue to watch this report. But I think, you know what, today I might have to do a bit of a Joao Pedro highlights video. So if you guys want to see that, man, yeah, let me know in the comment section. So that is me for today. Share your thoughts on this striker. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking. And obviously, with how many reports are coming out and how many big games are coming, you're going to see me again very soon. So I love my guys. Catch you in a bit. Cool.